I'm going to do a Micah Miller summary, and we have to chunk this together. So I'll divide the videos, but I want to talk about the church's website, the divorce paperwork, text from John Paul. John Paul's tied to the police. Micah Miller's behavior and John Paul's reaction, usually within 48 hours. The similarities to John Paul's ex-wife and the police reports that she made on him, videotaped by her father. The conspiracies in the funeral home and previous reports that cremated Micah without permission from family. The fisherman who found Micah has finally spoken out. John Paul's father and John Paul's son have dark histories. The dispatch call of Micah Miller saying she was going to end her life and the possibility of AI, and how odd the unaliving is when you are getting an energy drink, getting gas, and then why bother even filing for divorce? Not to mention all the needs that are coming up in this case, like need for money, donations, and camera footage. I think the website keeps changing. At one point, it was just all about justice for Micah. And then when I log in today at solidrockmb.com, it's back to their normal website. So I'm not sure if people are hacking it or what's going on, but they are making sure that she is not on it. The divorce paperwork surfaced, and in the paperwork, one of the possessions that Micah requested were her firearms. Now, this wasn't finalized, so she likely didn't get them, and that's why she got one from the pawn shop. In the divorce paperwork, she had to ask for her Apple AirPods. I mean, how controlling was this relationship? Tons of text messages have been released from John Paul Miller, and they are filled with cold threats, hot threats, gaslighting, love bombing, abuse of authority, abuse of religious scripture, abuse of the overall capacity of his church. Now, from what I can see in the court documents, it appears that in 2016, his ex-wife called the police on him twice. First was because he was stalking her, and second was because he was living across the lake from her and shining a green light, harassing her. And in the police report, it said that the same officer came to both of these events. In both reports, the suspect is identified, not found, and the case is closed. They also repeatedly state that the suspect in question was using the children in order to gain access to the ex-wife. And look at a side-by-side comparison. These two women look identical. We need Kanye West to speak up on this because he kind of has the same looking girl now. Okay, so the funeral home in Horry County, why is it called Horry County? Anyways, they've been in trouble for cremating people without permission before the autopsy has been complete. John Paul's father seems very familiar with the legal system because of prior sex offenses and then some kind of money issues with the church and lying about things with how he wanted to start churches and employ people. But also we've got John Paul's son, who has a history of domestic violence. It's also interesting that the head of security at John Paul's church was married to the head of police for Horry County. There is a lot of suspicion around the dispatch and the 911 call, and having been in dispatch before, you can't really say it's not people in the background. Although AI specialists have said, well, there are moments where there is silence. So maybe they took the call seriously and maybe they silenced the staff in the room, or maybe it isn't a real call and we need experts to look into this. And in a lawsuit, we need to depose all of the 911 dispatchers present that day. Now, the fisherman who found Micah's body spoke up, and what he did say was that it was lower tide. So the videos we're getting of the lake right now is much higher tide. So it is possible that she could have walked out and there would have been a path at the time. Still doesn't all make sense. Why would she get gas, buy a Celsius, and also even file for divorce if she was planning on not being here for it? The day before her death, she's listening to an audiobook about healing and moving forward. It's caught on her security footage. And then we have that pattern. When she did leave him, 2 days later, he freaked out. And when she filed the divorce papers, 2 days later, her body's found. Public records show that he was served on April 25th, 2024, about a probate hearing occurring on June 5th at 2:30 p.m. This is a big hearing, and I could be wrong, but if he keeps power of attorney, then he gets to have all her medical records, and we need to know about those hospitalizations, because what is going around is that they were not her choice and that he forced her into staying in the hospital. There's a lot of talk about his friend and attorney who had land near where her body was found and also specializes in AI. Well, it appears he doesn't have that attorney anymore, and there's going to be a new one, and he's protecting his image. There's video footage that he was seen at his house yesterday, the one in Myrtle Beach. So of course I had to look that up, and it's valued at about $360,000, which could pay for some good attorney fees, but we're not going to wait on that. We need to blast the GoFundMe page, and we need to start donating, because people are interested in this case, and even if everyone gives 50 cents, we can help this family. Just more complete insanity with this Micah Miller case. We've got South Carolina and North Carolina police going back and forth, and nobody picking up the case and actually really investigating. We've got John Paul maybe starting a TikTok or an Instagram, posting some weird stuff and then taking it down. If you have screenshots, please send me. TikToker Nat Cash Radio has done some AI investigating on the sounds of the 911 call. Very interesting. Check out her account. But I think most importantly, there are allegations of another victim of SA by John Paul Miller. I don't know who it is, and I don't know if there is a formal lawsuit. I hope there is going to be a civil lawsuit against him if this is true. But if you have been harmed by this individual, this is the time to speak out. And this is very normal. People who are abused do not come out right away and tell people. They don't think they're going to be believed. They think that it's their fault. They feel like they're going to be blamed. And oftentimes they come out because their story is going to help someone else's story. So if you are one of those people, your story is going to help any other victim, and your story is going to bring attention to the patterns that may have been present that led up to the end of Micah Miller's life. It makes sense to me that John Paul's not really coming forward, or his lawyer's not coming forward before this probate case on June 5th. But I would imagine there's going to be a lot to talk about afterwards.